Okay, third grade, we're going to make our Elements of Art book. Last year we learned about the elements, and today we're going to learn about them a little more. You should have just recently taken some notes off of a PowerPoint, and now we're going to put some visual definitions into this book. So each definition is here, and you can see that it has a visual definition to go with it. So we're going to get started. We're going to take our white piece of paper. We're going to fold that white piece of paper in half long ways. Give it a nice good crease. Then we're going to open that up. And now we're going to fold the paper in half. Give that a nice good crease. Then we're going to take that top sheet and we're just going to fold that back. And then I'm going to flip the whole bundle over and fold that half back. And now I'm going to reopen everything so it's flat again. Now, this little booklet is made out of one sheet of paper, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to now take the paper, fold it on its half line. This is kind of an important step because if you mess it up, the book does not quite fold right. So I'm going to cut from this fold to the intersection of these two folds. So I'm cutting through two pieces of paper at the same time. And I'm going to stop right when I get to that intersection. And then I'm going to open my paper back up. And then I'm going to fold the paper in half. But this time where that cut is actually going to go forward. And the other cut is going to go backwards. So right on the fold, that's going to go front and back. And then this is going to all kind of fold itself. There you go. You made your book. And then we're just going to go through and decorate each of the pages. So the first thing we'll do is make sure we put our name on it. And then shape. Shapes are anything that is a closed area. So as long as the area is closed, so we just go around, and when I close it, I created a circle. This shape just happens to have a name. I can have a square, and if you want to change colors during this, that's fine. Triangle. You can also have organic shapes, so they don't really have a name to them. They're just a shape. Line. There's all sorts of lines. Hundreds and thousands and millions of lines. You can have a broken line, a straight line, a curly line, a zigzag line, a fat line, a skinny line. Color, you're just going to use your markers or colored pencils or crayons or whatever coloring device you'd like to use, and you're just going to fill in the related colors. Now we know that we've learned before, and we're going to learn it again, that we have our primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. We also have our secondaries, orange, green, and violet. Secondary colors are created by mixing two primaries. So blue, red, and yellow make orange. And I'll give you some time to color that. I'm just going to quickly do this green one and then move on to the next section. Texture. Texture is the way something feels or appears to feel. So I have these rubbing plates here. This one's clear, but it has a texture on it. And you can see when I rub my fingers over it that it makes some noise. So this has texture to it. So when I touch it, I can feel that texture. I'm going to place it under my sheet of paper. And then I'm going to grab something with a soft lead in it, so a colored pencil or a crayon, and then I'm just going to gently rub on the surface of that, and you will see the texture appear. This does have two sides to it, the texture plate, so if you flip it over the same texture plate and do it again, you'll see that you get a different look. Now, this texture on this piece of paper is unplied, meaning it doesn't have any feeling to it. It's just flat, just like a piece of paper. But the surface that I used to make it was a real texture. Form. Form is form is a three-dimensional object. Well, in this case, this book we're making is a three-dimensional object, but it's hard to make three-dimensional objects flat on a piece of paper. So what I've done for you is I've drawn a square and made it look like a cube. So if you want to trace over those dotted lines, you will form a cube. Okay? You can also create a cone or a cylinder. These are all shapes that are three-dimensional, so they're forms. Again, a form is something that's three-dimensional. So this book is three-dimensional, this page is two-dimensional, so this is not three-dimensional. And then we're going to talk about value. Value is the lightness and darkness of a color. So if you take one of your colored pencils or your crayons and you start by pressing hard with your pencil, and as you move down the paper, you can gently loosen up your pressure and you will create a value. So you have your dark value and your light value. And our last one is space. Space is how things are arranged in the world. So sometimes you may see things lined up in a straight line, one next to another. So they have some space between them. You may also see things that have something's overlapping it. So you may have one thing in front and then another thing behind it, creating a relationship between those two the space. You may see them get bigger as they go back. That's going to create some space. You can also have positive and negative space. So the easiest way to do that is if you take a square or rectangle and you draw something inside of it. So I'm going to draw a heart. And then if you color in all of the area outside of the heart, I'm just using my marker because it colors quicker than a colored pencil. But if you color in all this area around the heart, not inside the heart, you've now created positive and negative space. So the heart is not really there, right? It's still white paper. So that's negative. And the red area that you created is positive. Okay, and you're all complete. You have now done your Elements of Art definition book.